All right. Looking at package design, this is our last live meeting. We have no students in attendance, and Professor Wood is going to start in with Amanda.
Okay, Amanda. So it looks like you still have quite a bit to do, so it's hard for me to fully comment on your package. So I'm guessing you have your logo off to your elements that you're going to be incorporating off to the side. You just haven't placed them yet. I think that because your logo has the crab in it, I wouldn't pull the crab out and make the crab bigger, um, on a different panel. You don't want to be like redundant. So think about other secondary elements that maybe you were considering when you were doing your logo phase, the icon marks, and maybe some of that could come into play for secondary elements here. So yeah, I don't have enough really to fully comment on, but just keep working with it, and you should be able to meet the deadline. So okay. So Peter, do you know if the blue is her or the yellow is her
Yellow.
assigned
Yellow
color?
is the assigned color.
Okay, so I think that you did a really great job with the content. So it looks like everything that's supposed to be present is there, from the nutrition facts to the, maybe that's a brewing instructions I can't really see right now, to all of the certification labels and the UPC, how many bags, the net weight. It's all very complete. The thing that I would just maybe recommend pushing a little bit further would be the blue. I'd like to see it a little bit darker to push the color contrast a little bit more. I know you're trying to go maybe for like the, the GNC look, that kind of thing. Yeah, maybe just push that color contrast just a little bit more. And I'm not sure that the gold and the yellow work as well with each other. So maybe you could consider a different color for that. Oh, nice. Nice additional mock-up. I think overall you've done an excellent job. You really captured the spirit of the brand. So just some minor little tweaks. I would also maybe consider eliminating that border that you have on the front panel and also on the side panel for the instructions. I don't think it's necessary. If it was like, yeah, I just don't even think it's necessary. So Peter, would you like to add anything to this
No,
project?
this is really good, Shana. You did a great job. I love your logo. You've pulled it together. You've sort of embraced the brand. So nice work.
Yeah.
And it's kosher.
It's everything. She's got every certification on there.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Next up is Heaven.
So unfortunately, you didn't follow my strong recommendation to make sure you had the logo lockup. And so now at a loss for how to help you move forward because it doesn't fulfill the criteria. You're relying solely on this logo that's now cropped to represent everything. I think the patterning is large, and of course you have extreme color contrast, so it would be hard to put any additional information there. But I would obviously not to see the full mock-up, but actually see the template as well, and then I could see that you added all the necessary components. I'm sorry, I'm so used to speaking UI language. Elements, nutrition label, barcode, country of origin, all of that stuff that is normally on food packaging. So I think you need to go back to the drawing board, scale that icon mark down put the text underneath, and then figure out what secondary elements belong with the cookie package. Currently, your text on the left is so close to the edge that you need more breathing space. So that's, so just really think through it all, and maybe you'll be able to pull it all together. So I just feel like I'm saying the same thing to the student. So
Yes. All right. We have Adriana now joining us. And there is her work.
hello, Adriana.
Look at that.
I did see on Slack that she asked if she could, not have to select one. She wanted to represent all of them.
You can. Did you come just for praise? Because you did an awesome job. It looks great. I can't see the text window, the chat window. Hold on.
Is this my student, right?
She's mine.
She's yours.
Section
okay.
1.
That's right. I'm sorry. I wanted to steal her.
Yeah. So here's my critique of this final image that you did. Make sure that the background fills the entire page. Like, you don't want to have just this white area around there. So have it fill the entire page. It looks like you can sort of reconfigure this. If the base here is separate, a separate layer, you could like move it up a little bit and then make it more horizontal so that it fills the whole page nicely. The other thing is looking at your presentation template. Spend the time that you have now that you've got your package really worked out to customize your template. Maybe change the fonts, maybe change the colors to make it really special and sort of match your brand. You could even take one of these patterns here that is real low contrast and use that as a fill in some of these bars, or whatever you decide to do. That I want you to push the creativity as much as you can, since you've done so well so far. Is that helpful, Adriana? I think she's typing. Yes. Okay, great. All right, we're gonna go back to section 2, where we're looking at Grover's work.
So the first thing that I would recommend is to not rely on prefabricated patterns. So like, I know that that's a pattern that's already in Illustrator. So it just seems like you're cheating a little bit when you do that rather than making your own. And it doesn't really cohesively match everything else. It has a different feeling to it. The second thing you need to work on is holding the shift key. So many of your elements have been stretched disproportionately. You were trying to fill the entire panel. You don't need to fill the entire panel. So white space, also known as negative space, is your friend, and it's okay to have breathing room around elements. And if you find that you have too much space, then you can consider something else, maybe the ingredients, country of origin, just a backstory. There's a lot of other things that you can do rather than distorting things. The logo lockup doesn't feel completely locked up because the diamond shape feels so separated from the brand name. So you may want to go back and address that a little bit more. And then I don't know if those are like a couple little coffee beans, but my eye kind of makes the 2 coffee beans eyes, and then the French flag a face. So you just want to make sure that your things are only seen one way. So the rather than mixing patterns, you have the stripes and then the swirls. I would consider just one pattern, and I wouldn't have the pattern overlapping the text on the flap like you do. That's obviously diminishing legibility on that top flap. So I hope that's helpful. So, the,
Yeah, these lines, I don't
yeah.
know what he didn't really describe what they were about, but they should be behind the logo type. Here he has different logo type, and then,
Twice, so it kind of feels redundant.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that is it for section 2. All right, here's section 4. Jules.
So this is a great start. You know, you have a solid logo. Looks like you have some great photography. Looks like you've laid out the necessary elements like Peter specified. So like I just like to see as you add more of the now secondary information, how it all pulls together. So yeah,
She's a little confused. This is your primary display panel here with the handle.
okay.
So this is the back. So
So,
your logo would want to be on the front somewhere, and it could be on the flap, but it would be upside down here so that it comes across to the front.
hopefully that makes sense.
That looks like a Chips Ahoy.
Um, I can't tell right now, but it looks a little big. Like that cookie kind of, I would either prefer the cookie to wrap around or be a little bit smaller. But when you bring it up too close to the edge, it just doesn't quite work. So I like this one a lot. This is nice, the way the cookie goes around the whole container. So you have some good options and some good photography. So yeah, just finish it up with your secondary elements and, you know, getting the placement right of the brand logo. Well done.
Here's Daniel. Kuko's chips, plantain chips with lime, a vacation for your mouth.
So your color scheme is harmonious, but it doesn't work in the way that you've applied it. So it would work better if you just kept it in the brand logo, which unfortunately the logo lockup has now been separated. So you really need a nice lighter color for all of your type to sit on if your type is going to be dark, or, you know, vice versa. If the background's dark, then you really need like white type. So let's go in and let's add some white. Add some white behind the nutrition facts, add some white behind the barcode, maybe add some white for the text, which feels very large. Just try to imagine somebody holding this in their hand at the actual scale that it'll be, and then maybe you can start to get a sense of how large your type actually is. So just keep it, you know, normal sizes of type. Peter, did you ever have an e-rule when you were in graphic design college?
A what?
An e-ruler.
What's that?
Um, it's like a ruler that has like capital E's on it, and it's used.
Oh, yeah, I never heard it called that. Yeah, there was like an overlay,
Yeah,
and you
so
could
it's
lay it on
bigger.
and spec type and say, oh,
Yeah,
this is like 24 point.
yeah. So like I remember like back, you know, when I was in college, we had an e-rule, and we would like, you know, look at magazines that we liked, and then we would have to like say, okay, the font size is, you know, 11 points and the lettering size is 13 points, or, you know, whatever it was.
Right.
And, you know, it would tell us, you know, it had a gauge for leading, and it had, you know, all this stuff. And just by constantly doing that, it would help you design appropriate sizes, because you're so used to looking on the screen that you're trying to make it look right for the screen, but you're not designing for screens, you're designing for print. So, you know, I remember helping an interior designer with her portfolio one time, and, you know, she's like, what do you think? What do you think? We would do something. I was like, I don't know, press print. And, you
Yeah.
know, probably about the 10th time I said to her, she's like, what do you think? She's like, I'll press print. You know,
Yeah, because
you,
working digitally, you could be up so close, you don't know how big something is.
yeah. So my recommendation to you would be press print, and then you'll start to see like how big some of these elements are. and you can start scaling them down, you know? So,
Yeah, typical text that a person would read is be like anywhere between 9 and 11 point type. This is probably 20 or more.
mhm.
I know you haven't had typography yet, but it's something you want to think about. And I would just say from the color palette standpoint, when you think about if you translated all this into black and white, many of the colors would be the same. They're like very close in value. So you want to have not only variations in hue, but also variations in value. These leaves are like the darkest element, but to have essentially complementary colors that are the same value, light and dark, on top of each other, creates that vibration that hurts your eyes. Because our eyes try to see one or the other, but they don't want to see both.
Yeah.
That vibration.
All right. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, Janelle.
Janelle, Monkey Tree.
So it looks like the whole front panel is just your logo lockup. I would still recommend eliminating that chevron, the zigzag pattern from behind the tree. Not because I don't like it, but because it kind of takes away from the licorice hanging from the tree. And I think like that's what, you know, you really want to stand out. I would, you know, consider bumping the text up a little bit, and then the text feels a little wide. So just scale the whole logo lockup down so that you have more breathing space. And then, you know, add a little bit on the other panels. The pattern is fun, but maybe you could just add a little bit more, you know, like you can eliminate some of them and you could add brand story. You know, you don't have to eliminate all of them, but so yeah. She did a nice job actually getting the text around that handle, the type on the path.
This is well done, yeah. Color palette works really well too, overall. And there it is. A little strong hue for letterhead maybe, but it works. I mean, you can read it. But maybe that's how Monkey Tree does it.
All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, here is Cassandra.
So I think the purple background is not allowing for enough color contrast. So I would lighten that up significantly and maybe choose a complement instead. So what would be the complement of purple would maybe be like, you know, soft buttery yellow.
Coffee with cream.
Yeah. So just, or an off, you know, maybe, you know, an off white of some sort, not pure white, but just think about that. And then, yeah, I mean, other than the fact that it's a screenshot and, you know, you have that one panel selected and the nutrition facts missing the font. It looks like it's coming together. You know, just continue adding your secondary elements. So I hope that's helpful.
Juan. Yes, he followed your advice on the logo.
I like it better.
It does look better.
I just, I'm a little iffy on the light green. It looks like, you know, if it was like matcha cookies or something, like maybe I'd be like, oh, okay, the green. I don't know that the connotation of the color is what you would want for, what kind of cookies are these exactly?
They're like chocolate dipped fortune cookies.
So I would get rid of that pale green and consider, you know, something else
Toasty
instead.
brown, golden toasty, you know, like the color of a fortune cookie. It's got that
Yeah,
kind of nice.
give some, you know, appetizing connotation with your color. So
Just a lot
this
of
one,
playing with color,
yeah.
but also so 4 designs and none of them are really complete.
So Yeah. So, and also your whole panel is your logo. So you kind of, maybe you could scale that down. You could add some imagery. There's a
Net
lot you
weight,
could do there.
net weight, descriptor line. I would pull these two lines together closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so net weight, descriptor line, imagery of the cookie might be appropriate, and flavor, you know, like information on the back.
So don't go with this one, whatever you do. It's too busy.
A
It's,
bamboo forest.
yeah, it's just too busy looking. It's not working. So
Mm-hmm.
it's horo vacui.
Yeah. John, this is Layla's Fair Trade Coffee.
So I gave you specific feedback on the logo lockup. I'm not seeing that change take place. I would really highly recommend you do that because you, again, I'll just iterate again that you have a lack of balance and proportion in the logo between the type and image. The two need to feel proportionate in their relationship. The type on the path is not working as well. And I really do think that you could, get rid of the handle of the mug because I think that you have enough distinctiveness in the actual logo that we don't need that particular element. I think, by eliminating that, the beauty of the logo itself will stand out more. I like the logo. I just want it to be locked up properly and, scale it down. So that you can add, other content. You don't want the whole thing to be the logo. So go and, look at other tea boxes. Or is this coffee? It's coffee. Yeah. Look at other coffee. Actually, look at the link that I sent during the live session. The Die Line has a whole curated series on coffee. So, and so I think, the side panels are relying on that large coffee bean leaf element, and it's just, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, it's just kind of competing with the scale of it is so large. It's just competing with attention. Um, the chevron to me isn't really.
It's supposed to have a North African kind of feeling. I mean, this is kind of a universal generic. I mean, it could work, you know. I just feel like the colors,
I'm wondering if you can put it in like two colors that are very similar,
yeah,
like
less
a dark
busy.
pink and a light, and just one shade lighter, so it doesn't, so that is, you don't see that vibration for the eye. It would
The
just be
pink
really
is the
subtle.
assigned color, and I just feel like this yellow is upstaging everything. It's just screaming at you, and
I think by eliminating that yellow background too, like the yellow earring, would become more distinct.
yeah, it's nice concept.
Mm-hmm. So,
Oh boy, words. So rather than putting the keywords there, put visuals that represent the keywords. That's the way designers work.
yeah, maybe give some brewing instructions, give a backstory. Who is Layla? Where, give the country of origin, give some certifications.
It's
You
supposed to
just,
be Morocco, but
you have a really good foundation. You just have to push this further.
there it is. All right, that is section 4. All right, I'm going to go back to section 1. Professor Wood, you're welcome to stay or leave, whatever you need to do.
Okay, thank you. I'll probably just hang out for a little bit.
Deja, you followed my instructions. This is great. I think this works much better with the waves on top of this pattern, the wood texture that you've also colored blue. So on this panel, since the pattern is going horizontal straight across, it's going to look crooked when it gets put together. What you want to do is select this shape that has the pattern in it and use the rotate tool, like go to object rotate, and you can rotate just the pattern so that I would use the arrow keys to sort of tick it up and figure out exactly where it is when it's even. I believe it's like 17 degrees or something for this packaging. But that would fix that. And I think this would be a great, look at that. See, so if you had the waves going the right way, done. Now, one thing, now this is, you're forgiven since you haven't had typography yet, but this calligraphy font, I would go a little simpler with this. Like you have a sort of slab serif that you're using for this. Maybe you could use that upper and lowercase in a lighter weight, not as heavy, rather than that calligraphy, because that calligraphy feels like a whole other thing coming into this, adding another decorative font that doesn't match. But all three of these are well done. They're looking good. This doesn't have enough contrast. I think that, I don't know if that's Apple Chancery. It looks like it might be. But find this font, use it upper and lowercase, see if there's a lighter weight of it and try that. And then it'll tie in a little simpler. Same thing here, like some of these look a little squished. You've got to find your secondary font and start using it. And see the way you're doing this inconsistently here, like you could just use this logo type if you wanted. I don't even think you need it, but just make it smaller so it fits neatly in that panel. Any thoughts, Sabrina?
Because they haven't taken typography yet, I completely understand. But there are a lot of great articles out there, and some of them are by Adobe on font pairing. If people want to, just do some research on the site on their own, and just start to like develop an eye for, how to contrast and complement each other with your
Yes.
type selections.
Yes, like sea salt and caramel. Find the two things that go together. All right. Ansley, Bermuda tea. I've given you a lot of feedback, and I never felt like you really understood this brand. It's supposed to be very sort of traditional English tea. You are using Apple Chancery as your logo type. These cups, these cartoony cups, repeated, I would get rid of those. I don't think they're part of your logo. You want a sort of more dignified setup here. Probably not any imagery, but just more a good logo with a descriptive line. And then overall, your color palette doesn't have enough good contrast. All the values are kind of light on these colors. So you want to have sort of darker and lighter colors. Maybe there's a very light cream color in the background or something. I know that your assign color is kind of light in value. So bring in some darker colors, maybe to set it off so that it stands out. And then the fancy type stuff, again, it doesn't feel like it has a connection to the brand. If you look at your competitors and look at your creative brief and the keywords and try to really get a understanding of like, what this should look like. So I hope that's helpful. All right, Catherine, so progress so far, that's good. You are making progress. Stone Soup, I think that this would benefit from some texture. Is there a stone texture that you could colorize, have it a low opacity over this red or something? And then I would you just got to sort of work the rest of the color palette. Yeah, see, she's got some stones there, but you could have just not pebbles, but like actual stone surface. Look for something like that maybe, but use your this color, this having a better use of this color will help it overall. And you've got 3 designs going. Descriptive line, homemade soup in an instant. This is like a soup mix that, you know, you mix it with some boiling water and chunk up some meat, and suddenly everyone thinks you've been cooking all day. So that's the idea behind it. Homemade soup for people who don't have time to make homemade soup. Yeah, I feel like I'm not a fan of this gray, even though I guess that represents your stone. But I would look at more stone textures and see how they can come in here. The yellow's okay. What do you think, Sabrina? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I concur. You know, you can use the multiply effect and, you know, still have a color overlay with whatever stone texture you use, and then you can, you know, tweak that, make sure you still have appropriate color contrast.
Yeah. Like this. Adriana's giving you exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Adriana. She's just sitting there going like, scroll down, will you? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Brenna, Tortuga jelly beans, your
Oh, it's
logo.
hard.
She fixed her logo. You're sort of breaking the lockup, but I'll forgive you. She calmed it down. Do you remember how crazy the
Yeah,
business cards
yeah.
were and stuff? So you've pulled this together in a good way. There. Okay, so here's the deal. Good job. I'm going to give you some nitpicky things to try to help you make it better. This yellow bar here, I understand why you need that to sort of like cap off the bottom of the stem of this jelly bean glass. I would probably take it all the way to the bottom and not have a stroke on it. And then indulge in the taste of vacation. I would use maybe a simpler font, make it much smaller, and don't get so close to the edge.
And then, sorry, I don't mean to
Go
interrupt,
ahead.
but also balance those two lines of text, so we don't have the little orphan. So, you know, so think about the natural way people would read that. Indulge in the taste, and the next line of vacation. You know what I mean? And then that might balance the lines a little bit more.
These cocktail glasses are fun, lots of color. There's maybe still too much going on here. To me, you might take these, one option could be to take these glasses and turn them monochromatic, you know, so they're like maybe a just slightly lighter version of the purple solid fill. Because these, between the jelly beans and all this, it's really getting crazy. And she's got the tortoise hat. Too much of a
Why
good thing,
can't that
maybe.
be the logo lockup? The tortoise hat above Tortica.
Yeah, but that's not the logo. The logo is this, the
Well,
cocktail
forget
glass.
that logo. I like the tortoise hat. Make that the logo. I'm serious.
I know, but you're giving her a different direction than I gave her. But
Okay.
it's okay. Too much. You have options. That's the thing, Brenna. You have options. You've done a good job. So you've got one version here. This is what I'm asking you. Try another version that calms everything down a little bit, right? Maybe a little less color, less elements, and see where that takes you. Because you got it covered. I think you're good. You love the decorative fonts. I might tone those down as well. So, you know, you can make a few changes to this and then try some options that are a little more calm and see how that looks to you. So yeah, she says it's her first design. All right. Jake Stonehaven. All right, so the stone texture that Adriana provided. You should use that. I see there's some slight texture there. You need more value contrast. The orange on this gray is too dark. It doesn't pop out. I mean, it's just not enough contrast there. I know the blue is so dark that it actually stands out nicely on this gray, but then you'd have to make the orange much lighter color. I might even use white for the type. But it's too close in value to that gray. He's got the descriptor line, the net weight. It just feels a little naked to me. Nutritional facts are always going to have a white background, by the way. And you could have a little more of a story. You could add some variety to the panels, you know. Maybe there's imagery on the back that shows where it's made or where it comes from or something like that. Yeah, this is better. So this looks squished. I think you squished this. Am I seeing things? Yeah, the gold helps. Yeah, see, this is so much better. I think that works, man. And like I said, white, this could be smaller, like maybe a quarter smaller, and then add some more information. But this looks good. This has sufficient contrast. Even this traditional English toffee, I can still read it. It's a little low contrast, but.
But just know the FDA is really strict about making sure that nutrition label can be.
Has white.
Yeah. The only time like they make exception is like when people print on like cardboard.
Yeah, right.
So.
All right, Sade, Cafe du Provence. The texture, the pattern works. It's a good use of color palette. So what you want to do is pull some elements together. So now you've got a box and another box and a cup. You want to simplify this panel so that you don't have so many elements. If this background color works with your logo, maybe make the whole panel that color. Because right now it's just like there's extra elements that are not necessary. The coffee cup, while this is a really fabulous image of a coffee cup, it's a little generic for your brand. It could work though.
What if she like, you know, did some decorative element in the actual
on the cup?
Or no, I was gonna say like, you know, like the you know how they sometimes, you know, draw designs.
Oh, and the foam on the top?
So what if she did some, you know,
yeah,
maybe her little pattern motif or something? I don't know.
Yeah, try to customize it a little bit. But you see how this, you had a box and then another box and another box. Keep it simple. And also you need to rotate this pattern as I described earlier so that it's even. Right now it's crooked. It needs to rotate with
personally, you know, I like to, you know, I always tell my students to get rid of, we call them containers, you know, to use your white space to separate items as opposed to containers. Yeah. So, you know, I think you have plenty of white space, so the elements are, you know, they're not jumbled up in that sense. But yeah, just get rid of all those containers. It just makes things look too busy.
All right. Gina, Thor's Coffee. All right. You've got information here. Your primary display panel looks a little naked. I would have a descriptor line. This is the super energetic coffee. You maybe need more contrast between the red and this background. I mean, you could take the background into Photoshop and maybe lighten it up a little bit. That might work. I don't know if you need to go lighter or darker. I don't know. Do you think that's a problem, Sabrina?
Sorry, I was reading another message.
I'm just looking at the red versus this background, if there's enough contrast.
Um, I was just looking more at the fact that there's not really a balance between type and image. And then I would like maybe, space coffee out, do some tracking. So it just, so they kind of end in a similar, a little bit, so coffee ends a little bit further out. Doesn't have to end right where S ends, but just a little bit further. So,
Yeah, bigger type, bigger logo type, descriptor
yeah.
line. Um, just a rule of thumb, I wouldn't use your logo type anywhere but on the logo for the logo. You can use it here, but something like trivia is too trivial to use your logo type.
You want to keep
Uh,
it distinct, and it really
yeah,
helps make the brand identity special.
yeah. The only exception is Vanity Fair magazine. It's good work. You're making progress. This pattern, this fill of coffee beans, while I'm not a big fan of that because it's kind of generic, but it seems to work with this look. Uh, it's definitely powerful. The template has this little, what that is on the actual template, there's a place where you cut out this part to have the handle come through. But in the digital mock-up, it just shows up as white. So I apologize for that. Something we got to fix. All right, Aaliyah, this is Wacky Noodles.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But so the student could just take in that, because I'm seeing that white part now. They could just take that in and fill it in, and then it wouldn't be an issue.
Correct.
Okay.
If it bugs them, it bugs me. See how they're white?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Aaliyah, Wacky Noodles, you have labored hard and long on this logo, and I think you've got it right. It's looking good. This is clearly preliminary work in progress. So I would love to see where you go with this. I think that this product is probably appropriate for some sort of delicious looking image of the product in action. You want to have a descriptor line. You could have a secondary lockup of your logo with the type to the right of it, of the icon, so that it's horizontal. That would be acceptable. This, the green, this is sort of like mimicking the noodles that the figure is holding, which are green. They feel a little arbitrary, just sort of generic pattern. I would maybe figure out this sort of creamy cheese color, maybe not as deep as that, but a much lighter sort of cream color that maybe could be the background instead of white. And then this would feel more like food, because the greens can go different ways. It could be delicious lemon lime soda, or it could be bug spray. It depends on how you pair it up. So think about that. Noodles. So that's the picture you want to use. There's lots of pictures of noodles. Maybe it's contained in a bowl and it sort of comes arcing in here. Consider that. This is pretty orangey too. Yeah, so I think, yeah, it's versus harsh. Yeah. So yeah, a cream color in the background might help that. Look at this. All right, so you're exploring imagery, and I can't wait to see what you do with that. All right, here is Logan's Green Mountain. You've mastered the subtle pattern in the background, so, and you're using it everywhere. I would maybe give the eye a rest in some places, like maybe not on the handle. Overall, your color palette is, everything's a little bit light. The type is sufficiently dark, but you know, you need maybe a little more contrast. But yeah, there's that pattern.
A little
What?
more visual hierarchy too, like Green Mountain and Maple Candy. They look smaller on this one, but when you showed the other panel, they looked like the same size. I don't know. And then again, close to the edge on the mock-up, but not here. Interesting.
Well, because the mock-up, it needs adjustment.
Okay.
So what you did is you took the whole template and you filled it with the same pattern all the way across. So what you see here is on this panel, because it's perpendicular to gravity, it works. On this panel, it's crooked. On this panel, it's slightly crooked. So what you'd want to do is fill each panel separately with its own pattern. And I know that's more work, but it makes it, you can then adjust the angle so that it stands correctly according to gravity. But also consider maybe not using it everywhere. You know, too much hot sauce in the gumbo. Too much mint in the maple syrup. All right, and then you got to do 2 more designs, so keep that in mind. All right, Chase, Osiris Coffee, you have the same issue. The value differences aren't enough. Everything's kind of dark, and the contrast kind of vibrates. This has better contrast. I think you still got more elements to add in, but yeah. So this border pattern feels very sort of Greek to me. Doesn't really feel, you think you use that in your letterhead too. Maybe, yeah, maybe not as an Egyptian. Maybe you've got images of Egypt or the desert or the pyramids or something, you know, like spice it up. It needs a little more pop. All right. Believe it or not, there's one more section. Is that right?
I did that one.
You did that one. This one. Here we go. All right, Yamilde. Pedro's polvorones. This is dad Spanish. Muy hermosa. You're doing a good job with this. You need a descriptor line that would probably fill in. It feels a little vacant there. I know white space is good, but you're using a gradient and it looks like it's going from orange to sort of black, using black maybe, but I would use a color. It feels a little dirty right now. If you use a different, like maybe a darker version of the orange instead of black,
I
I
was
don't
going
know,
to say the
maybe,
same thing.
you think she's using this color?
The brown, yeah, I don't think it's working. I think, you know, from, yeah, one orange to another orange would be the way to go. Subtlety is key.
These polka dots feel arbitrary, and I know you're more creative than that, so I want you to come up with a better idea for what the pattern looks like. And you do have elements, like even if you took the sun all by itself and just sort of flattened it, silhouetted it so that it's all just flat one color, and use that as a small element for a pattern, that might be good. You got stuff to work with. So
Put Puerto Rico together.
yeah, this drives you crazy. Puerto Rico. Yeah, break the line so that it. All right, so a little bit of vertical spacing, close it up there. And again, you're using your logo type for all your type, so maybe have another font paired up with that. But you've done a great job so far. I know you're going to come up with good stuff. Aaron, Oaxaca chocolate. Your logo icon, which is remarkable, beautiful, great, is like carrying the weight of everything. Like that is your whole brand. So I still think you could do some sort of flower pattern or something that would create some more interest elsewhere in some of your designs. You need a descriptor line. You need the net weight. You need ingredients, country of origin story, something like that. This is, you know, just sort of filling space. You don't need it. So for instance, like the stitches, the sort of mock stitches across her lips, you know, could you turn that into a pattern brush and maybe that goes across the handle or something? Be more creative with this. Right now, it feels like you're phoning it in. because you wore yourself out making this icon. It's a good look, but you just need to add a little more.
Also, like the
Oh, there we go. See,
yeah, okay.
and that's better. With a little more. Things feel off center. So you want to line this up with the baseline here, and then you can just move it up. And then, yeah, there's just some spacing issues. And so you don't want to put this there because it's here, and then when it flips over, you're going to have it there and there. It's going to be odd. Like that, see? Doesn't work. This floral pattern maybe could be up on this part and without that. Or maybe here you put the variety or something, you know, like dark chocolate or, you know. Yeah, there we go. He's using more of that. So forget me chiding you out there before.
Just make sure you get the color right behind the nutrition label.
Yeah, it has to have a
And
white
then
background.
I'm sure Peter already said, I'm sorry. Get the
Yeah.
net weight. You know.
Much more interesting looking. Net weight, descriptor line. I think that this competes a little bit, but good job. This is Aaron. Yeah, good job. All right. Jennifer, Black Sea Chocolate, Super Gold. I think your logo's come out well. You've fixed it. You're making that work. The gold, metallic gold, is an interesting thing, but it's a little overused. Again, a little too much. And then you have an image ghosted back. You're hitting too many things at once. This is okay, but I wouldn't do a gradient to white. I would do it to a color. And it could be a light color, but something that gives you contrast. This pattern made out of the candies is too high contrast and too large, and I wouldn't put it behind your primary display panel. You just want, it's just interfering there. And then you use the von Glitzka pattern that's stock in Illustrator. I know you could come up with your own pattern. If you want to review patterns with me, I'd be happy to do that. You've got some good ideas. It just needs to get sort of focused. I'm not sure this green works with the red. I mean, the gold could work, but you'd have to use it sort of discreetly and not on every panel and full up. You should do a mock-up. No. All right. So hope that's helpful. Nikki, Monkey Tree. Your logo icon is kind of like a whole illustration into itself. You've done a much better job with this. You fixed it really well. Now, what are you going to do with the rest of this? You need a descriptor line. Look at examples on the die line and stuff about candy and what people do, and what kind of things would go on here. Certainly everywhere where it's white feels like sort of empty space right now. So it could be a color. The pattern of licorice is okay. Doesn't quite connect. I mean, you could take the monkey head and turn that into a silhouette or something and maybe use that. Or even the tree itself could be, it's kind of become a silhouette and pattern. The stripes, it feels like a whole extra thing that's too much. Green. Yeah, I would look at some candy packaging, get some ideas. All right, Elizabeth, swing set snacks. Yay. All right, I want your logo type down here next to the icon. Obviously, there's some construction issues here. I understand the template is not ideal. So yeah, So I'd put the logo type down there. This looks like a sort of window. If you want to do that, you want to put like a little inner glow of dark so that it feels three-dimensional. But right now they feel like you got so much going on with the rainbows and all that. I don't think you need all that. Rainbows are really hard to work with because they have every color. You've done a decent job with this, considering that. But just keep that in mind so that you give the eye a chance to rest. You got any thoughts for her?
No, I concur. I was thinking of something, my mind was wandering somewhere else. I have this book on package design templates, and unfortunately, all the templates are on a CD.
Yeah.
And so I think I remember Eric Rosenfeld saying that he keeps one computer with a CD drive just in case. So I think I'll give that to him. And
Yeah. All right.
they take a package design class later on or something, right?
No.
No. Okay. So.
I usually give the disclaimer that we're not really teaching package design. We're teaching sort of design principles through package design. But
Okay.
if you really want to learn package design, there's a lot to know.
Yeah.
So, all right. I hope
There's a lot of
that's,
fun going on. It just needs to be unified.
yeah, I kind of like this version the best, but if it had the logo type with the icon, this is successful, a more successful window. You just put this little element of sort of rainbow. It almost looks like metallic rainbow stroke. Yeah, all of these have merit. You just need a little bit of tweaking. All right, Bernacia, piece cookies. Still got some more work to do. Descriptor line, what's this about? What's those secondary elements that you're going to add in? If you have a picture of the cookie, right now this is sort of interfering with your logo. You want to work out the whole panel so that it works together. This green color doesn't feel very food-like to me. You know, maybe there's a toasty brown color or something like that. Black doesn't feel right at all. This pattern is too busy. I'm not really sure where it's coming from. And, you know, like if you made it low contrast, it would be better, but it just feels like an arbitrary thing. So think about that and a little more information. This is like a Greek key. Or I guess it was Chinese pattern, maybe, but I wouldn't use black. I would use something subtler and tie it together more. Piece cookies. Yeah, look at some other cookie packaging and see how they set up their front panels. All right, Klaus saffron cookies. Your logo is working, even though it's got the split type. It works. Classic vanilla. So again, I wouldn't use your logo type anywhere but on the logo. Find a different font for that. It could be smaller, a little more ordinary. This pattern is very high contrast and a bit distracting. I might maybe reduce the contrast of the violet, you know, just overall tone it down because it sort of screams at you. And then see, like it's like a pattern in circles. Simplify a bit. Your logo is a bit complex and but elegant and nice. So I would let it stand out and simplify what's around it, make them less contrasty. You've got lots of options. You're doing lots of work here. So, all right. And that, as I say, is that. All right, this is our last live session. I appreciate you guys working hard, doing what you can.
It's been a really fun term. It's
Yes.
been a great group.
All right. I'll be on Slack. Let me know if you see anything, if you want some help or feedback or anything. So see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.